Ladies and gents, welcome to episode 3 of the Saul's Journey podcast, the place where we try and squeeze the most out of life, become our best selves, and have a laugh whilst we're doing it, usually at my expense. How are we all doing? So, we've got a very special episode today. It's the first episode today where it was requested. The subject topic was requested, and it could not be requested at a better time for me, for everyone in the world. Yeah, this is killer. And the topic of today is going to be about consistency and how do you take consistent action towards your goals and don't just trail off them. You know, spend a week, a month, 2 months, and then give up. How do you go full send towards your goals and make sure that you achieve them? We're going to be deep diving into them today. I'm going to be sharing every single thing that I believe is the action plan that you need to get exactly what you need to achieve your goals, to become the person you need to be. And I think there's some pretty big things in here that I had to learn the hard way, and hopefully you can learn from my mistakes. And I seriously think once you've heard these things, you're going to be in pretty good stead to achieving them. I think if you take these things from this episode and you really apply them, it's physically impossible to not achieve what you want to achieve. Like, I'm looking at the list now and I'm like, if I did all these things, if I keep doing all these things, I'll achieve the goal. So, before we get into it, let's have a 2-minute check-in. Firstly, I want you to ask yourself, how are you doing? How are you? How was your day? How are you feeling? You know, have you taken a second to really, check in with yourself? How's your body feeling? Any anxiety? You happy? Sad? That's okay. If you're not driving, maybe close your eyes, do a couple deep breaths, just sort of really ask yourself how you're feeling. You know, how am I feeling? Today is a very special day. I'll be honest with you. Today could be a record-setting day. I've recently been actually practicing what I'm preaching, and I've really been putting it into effect recently, and I today might have the most productive day I've ever had. I might have achieved the most work things or knocked out the most amount of tasks in one day, which is pretty special for me. I'm very good at big action, like big, grandiose, massive actions, but I'm very not skilled at like the smaller like steps towards a goal. I love like a big 12-hour day and then never doing it again, which I guess is technically what I did today. No. Yeah, I've been really learning recently I've been using Pomodoro, which is like a 25-minute timer, and you do 25 minutes on, 5-minute break, 25 minutes on, 5-minute break, and just been nailing LinkedIn, if I'm honest. My job at the moment is like photography and web design, and I've been marketing to new clients. Oh, that gets boring so quickly. But but yeah, how am I doing? Oh, winter in Cornwall where I'm living is slow and cold, and a lot of my friends are sending me videos from Morocco and Portugal right now, meeting loads of new people, surfing their brains out, having the best time. It's 25 degrees. And basically, it will actually make a lot of sense what I'm doing, because I'm currently following this plan right now that I've written down. But I've committed to a plan for the next 6 months, three months really, of my life. And going on holiday does not fit into that plan. And like doing those kind of things does not fit in my plan. And there is a part of me inside that is so frustrated and so angry and wants to go traveling tomorrow and burn all his life savings and take out a loan and just go and do it. And it's taking a lot of me, as I said, a real growing edge of myself has been, no, don't do the grandiose action based on big emotions. Take the smaller steps and deal with the emotions separately. So that's how I'm feeling. I'm trying to have faith with myself, trust my own process, trust my own plan. I dare say trust God's plan. That's a bit spooky to say on the internet, but it's how I'm feeling. So that's me. Right. Shall we get into the topic of today's episode? How to maintain consistent action and how to achieve your goals. So I have, let me count the list right now. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 things on this list that we're going to get through. Number 9 is what I'm doing and my goals. So you get to learn a bit more about me. How exciting. Bet you that's the first thing that you did when you woke up this morning. What is Saul's goals for the next 12 weeks? That's all you can think about all day. Well, you don't need to worry much longer because you're going to know. You're going to find out all the juicy goss. Anyway, so I'm going to start off with the most important thing. There are 8 things here. And without this number 1 thing, this is by far, I'm giving you the juice straight away. The early, you're getting the best one first. The rest are integrational ones. This is number 1. This is like, if you don't have this, you aren't going to achieve it. It's not going to happen. I promise you. And this I learned the hard way. Then I forgot it. Then I learned it the hard way again. Then I forgot it. Then I learned it the hard way again. So trust me on this. You're going to want to do it. Number 1 of how to take consistent action over the long term to achieve your goals is have a plan. You need a plan. And if you don't have a plan, you're not going to go anywhere. I promise you this. Okay? No plan, no action. The plan is the crown of this. If you are the king of productivity of everything, the plan is the crown. If you don't have a plan, you ain't doing it. If you don't have a structured way to figure out how you're going to do this goal, you are not achieving the goal. I promise you. I have a story. Back in 2019, I decided to quit university or quit education for the second time. Fun fact, I'm the only person that I know that's dropped out of education twice. A lot of people don't know this about me. When I returned from my first round of traveling after dropping out of school in 2019, so I was 19. Fun fact about me, my age is the same as the year, so it's really easy to know how old I am. Don't know why I needed to know that. But yeah, so in 2019, I was 19 and I was about to go back into education. And just before I did, on the day I was supposed to go, I dropped out again. I was supposed to go to Brighton College for media, anthropology, and psychology. That's a bit of lore that you probably didn't know about me. Anyone probably didn't know about me about that. Yeah, and the day I got a grant, I got fully funded, I could go, I had an apartment, and the day before I dropped out because I realized that I wanted to be like this traveling filmmaker, all this stuff. I wanted to live life properly, man. And I had some friends that inspired me to do it. And basically I dropped out and I decided I was going to build a camper van. I was going to be a van lifer. I was going to do it, man. I'd had this dream for about 3 years. And so I can officially say I wanted to do this before it was cool. So screw what all of you say. I wanted to be a van lifer before it was cool. So yeah. And I had this plan to build a van. And now let me just put this into perspective about how little I knew about van building or just general construction. I'd never used a drill in my life before I built this van. Like I had no experience when it came to van building or anything. Like this was completely new to me. Like I remember the first day I tried to use a drill and I couldn't drill a screw into a piece of wood. Like it was bad. It was bad. And anyway, I decided to undertake this project. I'd watched hundreds of videos of van building, but I decided to undertake this project because I, really like really enjoy working with my hands. That's wild. Really enjoy woodwork, really enjoy all these things. And I just had this dream of building this van, man, and going traveling. Spoiler alert, COVID happened. Anyway, but I had this idea to build this van. And let me tell you, the first 3 months of building this van was an absolute nightmare. Dare I say, a shit show. Because I had no plan whatsoever. Like, I had nothing planned to do. I would literally go in there and be like, I'll put a bed there, fuck it, figure it out, just cut this piece of wood, put that there, bish, bash, bosh. And I actually got to a point that was actually quite deep into the van build. I'd got to the point where I'd framed the kitchen, built the bed, built the side bench, started the cupboards, started the electrics, wired everything. And I realized I had just built myself into a fucking corner over and over again. I would have to constantly rip things out and put them back in, and it would take me ages. And Not only that, the mental stress of having to carry everything in your head is just exhausting. Like, constantly having to plan and figure things out and forget things and then remember them and all this stuff. And I just remember this one day when I just snapped and was like, I got to the point, I remember the day. It was, I'd ordered some kitchen appliances. I'd ordered a hob. That was it. It was a double hob for the kitchen to cook off. And it didn't fit in the kitchen because I hadn't measured anything. So none of it would work. And to extend the kitchen, I would have had to move the bed. And then to move the bed, I would have had to do, you get where I'm going. And I eventually made the executive decision after rolling around in basically tears on my parents' floor, thinking, why is this world so difficult and why is God such a merciless piece of ass? I decided to rip out the entire van and start completely from scratch. But instead, what I did from this time was sit in front of my van in a chair with a massive notepad and measure and draw and plan everything. It would not go in I made the decision, it would not go in the van unless it had been measured twice, planned against the other plan, planned against this. And I had a full list of things I wanted to do until I think I stopped at like the idea of like painting. Like when I got to the painting part of the plan, I was like, okay, I don't need to, we'll get to that point. But it was such a valuable lesson. That once I had written things down in a plan, not only was it I didn't forget the plan that I'd made in my head the night before, you can solve, I would honestly say, 80% of problems that you would interact with if you didn't plan by planning. When you write stuff down, you can solve things that you didn't even realize you would encounter just by doing a mental experiment. Because when you're writing this stuff down, you're mentally experimenting, you're trying ideas, you're checking how they would work. So with a van, for example, I would think, I need to put this kitchen there. How big does the kitchen need to be? Okay, cool. Okay, the appliances is this big. I need my bed to be 6 foot wide. I need this to be this much tall. Brilliant. I've just spotted that can't go there because then it would block this door. And I wouldn't have known that until 3 months down the line building it, and I'd try to build the door and it wouldn't fit and I'd kick my own head in. So yeah, planning is everything. You need to write down what it looks like when you've achieved the goal, then what it looks like to what you will need to learn to do the goal. Then you need to have a weekly schedule of what the tasks will be to do that. Then it needs to be a daily schedule of what the tasks need to be. And heck, I go for an hour. I do hourly schedules. Literally, I'm scheduling an hour by hour schedule of my day. I'm not super strict about it, which we'll get to, but it's important. So yeah, planning is number one. If you do not plan, which I mean, have a notebook. You need a fucking notebook. You need about 13 notebooks in your life. But if there's one thing, if you want to do this goal, have a notebook. Another tip is use something called Notion online. The best planning thing ever. Quick tip on that. I put this at the end, but I'm actually going to put this second because this fits really well. I'm trying two philosophies around achieving a goal. And if I'm really honest, one of them is just straight up stealing from the corporate world. I found this new thing called the 12-week year. And I think it's basically just stealing quarters from corporations. But basically what it is you divide your year into 4 quarters. Yeah. And you treat each quarter as a year by itself. So, for example, for me, I'm treating the next 12 weeks as a year. And I've got my goal for the end of the 12 weeks. And I've got what I need to do every day to do those things. That's part one. So maybe that could be a good idea for you. Split your goal into 12 weeks. Because that's long-term, but also achievable. Like, there's some pressure with 12 weeks. And this is the second one. And this is really cool. A lot of you might have heard of SMART goals. It's quite a common thing. There's a new system I've learned called PACT. I would tell you what the initials stand for, but I haven't written them down, so I can't remember. You can Google it. But basically, the philosophies of SMART versus PACT are two very different things. SMART goals are basically all about achieving the goals, what it looks like. It's measuring basically on how close you are to the goal. Whereas PACT is all about your output towards the goal. which to me motivates me a lot more, because a lot of my goals are not something that I can really control too much. Let me give you an example. With this podcast, I want it to be my full-time job one day, and I want the content, I want this to get thousands of followers, and I want this to get thousands of views, but I can't really control that. I can only control how many of these I record, how good I make them, and how much I promote them. So, for example, a smart goal would be, in 12 weeks, I want 5,000 followers. You know what I mean? So that's the goal. A packed goal would be, I want to make 20 podcasts and release 40 shorts. So it's more about the output than the goal, which in my opinion, it means for me that I can go to bed being like, I've achieved my output goal, and then I can feel fulfilled, and then I can feel refueled. Whereas if I don't achieve the followers, even though I do the output, I'm not going to feel that great. I'm still going to feel crap. So yeah, that's my sort of second tip. Use a 12-week year unpacked. There's an amazing, there's a really good Notion template. This is getting a bit technical for the 12-week year that I'll link in my, the podcast description that you can find. In fact, I'll link loads of Notion little templates. I've got like a deep work timing Pomodoro one. Oh man, I'll link you all my Notion playlist, Notion templates. It's amazing. Seriously. It's incredible. But yeah, so that's number 1 and 2, planning and sort of 12-week year packed framework. Number 3, just as important in all of this, is you need to know yourself, and you need to understand yourself and your thought and feeling process. And the first thing you need to understand is that you are not one person. In fact, you are many people, all smushed and combined into one. I would estimate that I am a combination of about 25 people mixed into one. There is my angry teenager, heartbroken child, lover, construction worker, data analyst, random fact knower. Do you know what I mean? There's like 15 people inside of me. And so what you need to be able to do, and we're going to get a little bit spiritual and mindful here, is you have to be able to separate yourself from those people. You have to be able to detach. Think of it, if you're a car person, as disengage the clutch and just be able to see those people reacting. And you're going to have to learn how those people are going to react and not just listen to those people immediately. Because there's going to be a day, there's not going to be a day, there's going to be hundreds of days where you wake up and one of those people inside of you is screaming as hard as they can for you not to do the goal. I'll give you a great example. I am living in Cornwall and it's in winter. It's very well known here. It's very dark. It's very empty. It's kind of lonely. It'd be a bit depressing. And I have a set of goals that are 3 to 6 months long that will hopefully, if I achieve them, allow me to choose whether or not I live here. Allow me to build a framework whether or not I can move wherever I want and do it with a rewarding thing, such as this podcast and with remote working. I also know that every morning I wake up, there is a part of me, very angry teenager, that is like, fuck all of this. You should just sell everything you own and move to Indonesia and just be a surf person for the rest of your life. And I have to understand that that is a very valid feeling. Like, that is a very valid person who is actually saying something to me that I understand why I want it. It's not bogus. Like, it's actually true. And so you have to be able to negotiate with yourself and understand that, you know, some days you really won't want to do the goal, but you have to fully commit to doing it. So you have to understand that some days you're not going to want to do this, and that's okay. But if you really want to achieve the goal, you're going to have to do it anyway. And that leads me in perfectly to my next point, which is, before you start this, you need to have a full negotiation with yourself. You need to sit down with every single part, with the board almost, with every single aspect of yourself, and be like, okay, so we have this goal. We have these issues in our life. We have this thing we want to do. We've got this thing we want to do. Does this goal, is it the best way forward in our current knowledge to achieve our sort of like, to get our best future for all of us involved? Is it the best compromise that everyone wins and no one loses? So for example, the negotiation that I had to do with myself is that I wanted to move tomorrow to Portugal. I want to just like, because just not to name drop, but I have a European passport. Whoop. So I could technically just get a job in a bar and move to Portugal. However, on the flip side, I'm also in the place where I do have a supportive community of artists. I do have a lovely group of friends. I have an amazing place to record podcasts, and it's the best place to start something I've always wanted. So if I were to do 6 months of hard work, I can still move to Portugal, but I can move there with much stronger ground. And it's funny, I'm not going to lie. It took me about 3 months of this negotiation with myself. I mean full time, like pretty much every waking hour being like, what do I want to do? Do I want to go there? Do I want to do this? It took me 3 months of full negotiation to figure out that could write down my day-to-day plan of, I want to do podcasts. I want to make short form content from the podcast. I want to promote the podcasts. I want to do web design on the side. I'll do LinkedIn to promote it. I also want to do content marketing to save up money. If hopefully in 3 months I'll go on holiday, and then by the end of the 6 months I should be in a stronger position to reevaluate everything and see it. And it was really funny. I'll just share a little note with this. It was actually, I'm not joking. It was only about a week ago that I finally hit this point of everything makes sense. Every aspect of negotiations was completed. The board was room. The contract was signed with myself. In fact, the contract actually was signed. I signed myself a contract with myself. It was really funny. When I actually did that, I felt firstly this huge sense of, everything's in line. Immediately though, I felt my inner teenager was like, no, things are too orderly here. We must break them. And I immediately felt my teenager inside look for every single thing that was wrong. Heartbreak, ex-relationships, money, fitness, life running out, my age. And it was like trying so hard to win. The thing is I've done that negotiation with myself. And then now I know myself. So when those voices come up, and they're so strong, trust me, you can feel like you're so realized, and then tomorrow feel like you've gone 25 years backwards. But you've got to understand that once you make the commitment, there's no going back. Once you make the commitment, there is no going back. Because with me, what I realized was this is actually the best path forward. The best path forward. Like 6 months will pass, and this actually would be the best way to use these 6 months. And now I realize that when those voices come up, when that child, angry teenager, comes up, I just tell it, do you have a better plan? Do you have a better idea? Because I don't think you do, because we've negotiated this for 3 months. And we've sat down and ran out every single possibility. And I know that this is the best way forward. So either we half-ass this and don't achieve anything, or you get involved. And that's been earth-shattering. To take every aspect of myself seriously, take the time to negotiate, understand everything, and then finally realize, yeah, you're right. A quick note on that. I definitely had, I don't know if many people have this, and I'd really love to know if you do. Because I hated school so much and I hated school work, I have a really big teenage wound against planning and against, you probably can tell this, and against heady things and against boring, quote unquote, slow burning things. And what I realized was in my teenage anger of all those things, all I was doing was shooting down my ability to create something that had any meaning beyond like a week. And it was really funny recently that like I realized that I'm not in school anymore. And a really great realization was when I was talking to someone the other day who was about 70, and they said that they did this behavior. They didn't, just an FYI, I didn't ask them, they just volunteered this information. They did this behavior because they were bullied in school 55 years ago. And it's like, it made me realize, like, oh, by the way, no shame on them. Like, by the way, also, did I do the maths right? Yeah, 55 years ago. No shame on them. Everyone's on their own path. But it made me see, oh my God, like, I could be a revengeful teenager who hates all schoolwork for 20 years. and I won't go anywhere, but I'll have made sure I've been a teenager for 20 years. And it's like, that was part of the negotiation for me, was seeing that I'm not doing schoolwork that I don't want to anymore. Now I'm going towards my goals. And it's like, that was a huge thing. So yeah, just a note on that you may that you might feel a frustration at first towards doing long planned work, but just keep reminding yourself of the goal. I like to use visualizations. Visualizations for me are the number one tool that I'm using. I'm not joking. I do a 20-minute visualization every morning of what it would look like to wake up having achieved the goal. I feel it. I see what it would look like. I see my bank account. I see the podcast numbers. I feel how it would feel to help people and have people enjoy this message and have the potential avenues that grow from this, to wake up in Portugal, see the waves, have some even more deeper friendships, have a dog. And I feel that. And I feel the joy from it. And it just, it in those times where it makes me really angry that I'm doing, that I'll be doing 4 hours of LinkedIn sat inside when all my friends are in Portugal or Morocco, it just reminds me, nah, dude, you're on the way. You're on the way. Yeah. And that takes me to my last couple of points. I think this is point 5. You will slip. You will fall off the path. You will have some bad days. Things will happen. Breakups happen. You have fights with your friend. You hurt yourself. You just get in a bad mood. You have a bill, unexpected bill. Something happens at your job. You'll slip. It's going to happen. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. You're going to have these days. And that's okay. That's part of the process. The amazing thing to realize is that actually when you slip, that's when the growth happens. If you have that ability to pick yourself back up and keep going, that is the moment. That is the moment. So when you have a moment, when you slip, think to yourself, okay, this is the time. Everyone slips. Everyone. I promise you, every single person. David Goggins, Barack Obama, Novak Djokovic, they have all had moments where they want to quit, where they've gone off track, where they've slipped on something and they've had a bad week and they didn't do as much work, or they did the thing they said they wouldn't do. It's how you come back from a defeat that shapes everything. And the only way you do that is by being kind, is by being loving to yourself. You need to be that loving, embracing, as a man, we get told all the time that we have to be these brutal warriors of war. Okay, maybe I tell myself that. That we have to be these husky men. And in truth, I definitely get told that we need women to be the people, or we need pets, or we need spa days or something to comfort us. But no, we need to be able to internalize that ourselves. We need to be kind to ourselves. We need to be the feminine to ourselves. We need to be able to pick ourselves up and go, hey, it's okay. Let's get back up. It's not all lost. I've got something written down over there, actually. And what I've been thinking about it recently, this is an amazing little analogy that I've come up with. And yes, I came up with it. And yes, I said it's amazing. Deal with it. The way I'm thinking about it is I've got this image, right? I can't remember who it is, but there's a video game I used to play when I was a kid called League of Legends. I was sick at it, and I still am. And there's a character in it called Jarvan the Fourth. And Jarvan is this, general of war. He's the king of his kingdom, but he's like a warlord, but not in an evil way. He was the leader of his people, and he's very righteous and very just. And he's got this massive spear, and you could buy this appearance cosmetic skin for him that turned him into a Chinese emperor warlord. And he had this massive feather thing on his head that went the whole way back, and he was 6'6" in the video game, and he'd stand on the mountain and he'd be this person. And I think of myself as that person, as I am the king, the warrior, the general, the person that has his kingdom. He has to lead to victory, and there's a great war that he's fighting that might be 100-year war, and he has to lead his people to victory. That's how I think of myself. And basically, the other day, I'll tell you the truth. Earlier this week, I slipped pretty badly. I had a few days where I did almost nothing after I'd committed to doing it, and my mindset was crap. I didn't want to do it. In fact, this morning I still woke up feeling like that, and I thought, God, I'm such a piece of shit. I'm so stupid and bad, and I can't achieve anything, and I've messed up, and I can't do it. And this image came to me in a second. And, you know, back in the day of old, people like Jarvan, the king, the general, they would have advisors in the courtyard. You know what I mean? Like, they would have the courtyard advisor, the court person who would be like the wise person that would tell them what they didn't want to hear. And I put myself in that place, and I sat on the throne just thinking maybe Jarvan had lost a battle, an important battle. You know, maybe he'd been defeated in a battle, not the war, just a small battle, and he was crushed, and he was ashamed, and he thought, oh, maybe I should just quit, just give up. Maybe my kingdom doesn't need me. And I just pictured myself as the court advisor who went, yes, you have lost one battle, but because of that, are you choosing to lose the 100-year war because of the one battle that you have lost? Like, are you choosing to lose every other battle because you lost one? Like, you could forget that lost battle now and win the next 100. Or you could lose the next 100 feeling sorry for yourself, feeling like a victim, feeling ashamed, because that's all really shame is at the end of the day. After the initial one, if we're just re-shaming ourselves, it's a great way to feel victimized and to not have any power. And so in that moment, I almost like head in my hands was like smiling, just like, damn, you're right. Like I did mess up, but I did lose, but it's another day. There's a war to be won. There's another 100-year war. There's another battle. My people need me. My own people, I need me. And I went back to work. I went back to the battle. I went back to helping my friends. And it really helped to forgive yourself and realize, you know, when you're doing these goals, you're becoming a new person. There's an amazing podcast. There's a guy called Jim Fortin, who's this amazing transformational life coach. And he says that most people have their idea of achieving a goal backwards, which is most people do, they have a model of have, do, be, which basically means once I have the thing, once I have the goal, then I'll be able to do the things I want to do, then I'll be the person I want to be. When actually, it's the other way around. You first need to be the person that would achieve the goal, so then you can do the things that the person who has achieved that goal would do. Then finally, you will have the things that person is. For example, if you want to be super in shape, people think, oh, you know, if I just had a six-pack, then I could just do all these gym things, and then I'd finally be that like fit person, and it'd be sick. Whereas actually, they need to think, if I want to be a fit person, what does a fit person do? And also, not only that, you need to realize your identity is now someone who is a fit person. It's funny that, because if you don't realize that you can achieve these goals, which is why the negotiation, the visualization, and the belief is so important, you need to be able to see these goals before you even think about it. Like, if you can't see yourself achieving these things, you need to be able to see it. Because if you try and do all these things without becoming the person who has achieved these goals, all you are is someone else who has the habits of someone who's achieved these goals. So for example, if it's a fitness goal, you want to be in shape. You just need to decide, I am now someone who is a fit person. So now I am someone who goes to the gym. I am someone who eats healthy. I am someone who cares about their body. And I am someone who can be in shape and deserves to be in shape. And that, when you do that, the universe has a crazy reaction. Like, the universe just starts being like, oh shit, here he is. He's taking the space. And it's got this feeling of like, have you ever got like a football or like a inflatable ball and tried to sink it in the ocean? You try to push it down, get it in the ocean and try to get it to go. You'll notice that it doesn't matter how deep you'll go, boom, it flies back up. It flies straight back out of the water, because it's the same thing with your personality. If you realize you are that person, if you are the successful magician, if you are the successful musician, if you are the fit person, if you are the hard worker, if you are the successful business person, surfer, romantic, artist, painter, it doesn't matter what happens in life. You will just gravitate to that thing, no matter what. And the road might be like, woo, wiggly, 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 but you'll get there. And that's the thing. Because if you think, okay, for example, another one, if you're a painter and you spend a week, 6 weeks into learning to paint, not painting because some stuff came up. If you're a painter, then you just go back to it. But if you're not a painter in your mind, you're just going to be like, I tried, I give up, I quit. But if you decide, I am now this person, you got to act like that person. And then that leads me to my last point of advice, which is zone of tolerance. You are now that person. And an amazing example is this. Have you ever met someone? Oh, no, actually, I've got an amazing example for you. There's a guy called the Outdoor Boys. And there's a guy who runs a YouTube channel called the Outdoor Boys. He's called Luke. And he makes these videos every 2 weeks that are just survival in the wild. And he gets millions of views. And I mean, he's got like 13 million subscribers. It's crazy. And one thing I've noticed about him is every point of his waking day, he is working or doing something. He's not yearning. He's not longing. He's not upset about something. Yes, I know it's a video, so there's going to be moments missing. But in the video, he's like, right, today I've got to do this. Does it. Today I've got to do this. Does it. And have you ever met those people in your life where it just seems like no matter what, they just rise? Those people where it does not matter what room whatever tragedy you put them under, they just rise. It might take them 6 months. It might take them a year. Oh, but they'll rise. They won't fall. You know, I used an amazing example in a reel the other day, which was of, I can't remember his name, but he's the lead singer of Iron Maiden. And he was legitimately going through a terminal cancer diagnosis. Like fully, the doctors were like, you're going to die. And he was studying to become a 767 pilot so that when he survives, he can go and be a pilot. Guess who didn't die and then became the pilot for the 767 that flies around Iron Maiden when they're on tour? Him. Insane. Like, you can become that person. You know, the example I like to use is, imagine if you took all of Bill Gates' money away. Do you really think that he would just be like, I've lost all my money. Oh no. Oh no. What's happened? Bro, he'd be a billionaire by next week. Okay, maybe not. But like, he would be like, right, how do I get my money back? How do I How do I build my network? How do I do this? How do I do that? I know this stuff because in his mind and his soul, he is a billionaire. He is Bill Gates. So in your mind and your soul, think of your goals. Sit down, visualize, I already am that person. How do I externalize what I'm already internally feeling? Because 99% of the battle is internal. Once you have internalized this goal, this dream, this vision of who you are, the universe is begging to give it you. It wants to give it you because the universe wants to see you do this thing. Because that's the goal. That's the gift that you give to the world. The universe wants to see all these amazing things. Think of it. You like to go and watch a performance. You like to watch a show. So does the universe. The universe wants to see you flourish because it's entertaining. It's great. It wants the flow of life to keep flowing. It doesn't want to be blocked. It wants to have a completely lovely flow of people. So sit down every day for the next week. Talk to your friends about it. Write down a page in your journal. What it would be like to be this person. A day in your life, right? In present tense. And so, let's be accountable. My turn. What are my goals for the year? I actually have them written down, but I have not got that thing open. But I can tell you. My goals for the year, or for the next 3 months, are that I want this podcast to do well. And I also want to have a certain amount of savings so that I can go away on holiday. And I want to have a certain amount of remote work lined up so that I can start thinking about permanently moving somewhere and working from wherever I want. So those are the outcomes. However, the packed version of those goals, so the 12-week year version of those goals are this. In 12 weeks, I want to have released 20 podcasts. So that's 2 a week. I want to have released 60 shorts. So that's 3 shorts per podcast. I would like to do 2 hours every day of deep work on my social media, if that's learning, creating content, planning, interacting, and then 2 hours a week, 2 hours a day. I might have said 2 hours a week. So 2 hours a day for the social media, and then 2 hours a day of deep work on learning to market my business, upskilling, learning more stuff, posting on LinkedIn, outreach, 2 hours of deep work, hard focused work every day. So that is 10 hours a week of social media stuff, 10 hours a week of the business. Finally, I also want to go to the gym 3 times a week. Those are my, did I say 3 things? Those are my 3 or 5 big goals that I need to achieve. And yeah, that's it for me, because when I do those things, if I make 20 podcasts, 60 shorts, 10 hours a week of work, of deep work, that is. So let me just explain what that is. Deep work to me is I can do, like, in my opinion, I can do like 10 hours work in 4 hours if I'm doing deep work, because I'm just so hardcore locked in. It means not talking to anyone, headphones in, caffeinated, ready, locked in, no distraction. So those are my goals, and it's the 21st of April, I believe, is when that is. I'm going to be checking on it. And how am I doing? I'm in my week 1. So you'll be seeing the results of this, in the sense of I'm going to be releasing a new podcast every Monday and Friday. At the moment, it's just me, and we're going to be deep diving into topics like this. There's so many topics about how we can achieve our dreams. And you're going to be seeing a lot more short form content as well. So that's really exciting. But yeah, those are how to be consistent to achieve your goals and realize your dreams. You can do it, man. Seriously. And you have no choice. You have to do it. You have no choice. If this goal is in your mind, you got to do it. You got to do it. It's just on you. So yeah, do me a favor. If you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe. I'm going to be getting it on Spotify soon. Do me an even bigger favor if you want. Hit the share button, go on your Instagram, and share this onto your story on Instagram. I would love that more than ever. And then do me another favor, write a comment or DM me on Instagram, Saul's Journey, @SaulsJourney. How did you find the podcast? Did you like it? What didn't you like? What did you like? Tell me all about it. Now that you know my deepest, darkest secrets and my goals for the year, you can hold me accountable. And I will be holding you accountable on those goals. Next episode, you bet. It's currently Thursday, so I broke the rules. Next episode is going to come on Monday. It's currently Thursday, and on the next episode, I'm going to be checking in. I'm going to be like, have you set your goals? Episode 3, did you set your goals? You best believe, episode 5, I'm going to be like, yo, motherfucker, episode 3, have you set your goals? So, yeah, set your goals, or I'll find you, and I'll fight you. Anyway, it's Thursday, so have a great rest of your week. You're doing amazing, I bet. Forgive yourself, love yourself. You deserve to have a good life. I hope you've enjoyed listening to the Saul's Journey podcast and me mutter on for 44 minutes. Yeah, have a great rest of your day. See ya.